Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, May 25th, 2014. Tomorrow is the 6-year anniversary of Y&R Chat and I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. I noticed it. I'm shocked that it's been 6 years of weekly Y&R Chat. I want to say this is number 401 on my YouTube channel, video number 401. So there are over 400 videos to go back and watch, and I've watched them a couple of times. It's kind of interesting to think about where we were way back then, to look at my various funky hair, various funky outfit choices, and it's okay to mention my weight. Oh man, it's only okay to mention that I was fat in the early videos because I'm less fat now. If I get fat in the future, it's not okay to acknowledge. It's alright to acknowledge the weight loss, but not weight gain. So there's a lot of material to go back. It was May 26, 2008, I believe, that I started Y&R Chat. In December of 2010, I also started recording the audio of Y&R Chat and posting it on iTunes as a podcast. So this is also, I want to say, episode 175 of the podcast. So that this has been going on for a while. And I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge that because I think it's pretty cool. I really appreciate everyone who listens and watches, and I know that there are people out there who've been watching since the very beginning. I know who you are, you know who you are. You'll definitely have to leave me a comment. If you're watching on YouTube and you've been watching from the beginning, be sure to leave a comment in the box below to let everyone know you have been watching this since the inception. I think that's really neat. I know you guys have seen me go through many a transition, and I know there are people who I want to thank that faithfully watch and listen every single week, and I really appreciate that you guys are interested in what I have to say. I think it's very cool. I always read my comments and I love them, and I know you guys and I love you so much. And you know, I know there's people out there who are watching and listening and have never said a word to me, and I actually appreciate that too, because a lot of the podcasts and video series that I watch, I'm not a commenter. So I don't really feedback, and so I totally understand and identify with that. So I know that even if you've never contacted me at all, I know you're out there, and I want to thank you for paying attention. It's really cool. So wow, here we are. 6 years later, I just wanted to take a quick moment to say happy anniversary, Y&R Chat. Victoria is out of town at the beginning of the week, and Stitch is practically writhing around in his seat, waiting to confront her about the fact that she's pregnant. He found out on his own, being a little sleuth, a little sneak, being unethical, looking at her medical file, and he can't wait till she gets back so he can ask her about it. He's at the coffee house, kind of trying to ask questions about when Victoria might be getting back, and it's weird. I've totally switched on Stitch. I've turned on him. I don't know what it is, but ever since he started kind of just feeling even mildly obsessed with Victoria, just really, really into her, and then now everything that he's done after he's found out that she's pregnant, it's kind of getting on my nerves, and it's weird because, like, still Stitch is actually ending up making me like Dylan more, because as Stitch is at the coffee house trying to figure out, you know, where Victoria is gonna be, Dylan is there encouraging him to back off of her. Of course, Dylan doesn't know all of the situation, and I'm sure that Stitch has a right to know. Both of the men have a right to know, but I don't know, he's just bothering me. I mean, Victoria is keeping a major truth from him. I acknowledge that 100%. He's just been so clingy, and now he's starting to make friends with Victor? What was up with that? Stitch and Victor Victor are practically best friends. They're in the workout room at the athletic club. And Stitch is trying to ask Victor questions about Victoria when she might be getting back, and Victor picks up right away. He already kind of knew that something was going on between those two, and Victor begins to pretty much almost give Stitch advice for dating Victoria. It was bizarre. But then again, I'm sure that Stitch is the son-in-law that Victor always would have wanted. I mean, he's the all-American guy. They can even box together. Who knows? Maybe Stitch could take over Newman Enterprises someday. None of Victor's children appreciate the company, so Stitch could be marked as the next Dawn. In Victor's eyes, anyway. It was just, I was almost shocked by that. I think this has got to be, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, it has got to be the first time in Y&R history that Victor has ever approved of someone that Victoria is dating. Think back about all her relationships. They've all been based on pissing daddy off. Let's be real here. And if you ask me, I think it's kind of unfortunate. It's going to end up being the death nail for Victoria and Stitch's relationship right there. Victoria only likes men that her father hates. She's not going to want Stitch if Victor's fine with him. Oh boy. Well, as soon as Victoria gets home from her trip, Stitch takes that opportunity to call her out. He goes to her house and he starts to question her and just says, you know what? You're not sick. You're pregnant. Stop lying to me. He admits that he looked at her medical file. I don't know why, but that sticks with me. It's so unethical, and it makes me think of Stitch in a different way. When he came into town, he was all-American, perfect guy, and now he's got this dark secret, and he's looking in her medical files instead of just asking her, and he was sneaky about the way that he did it, too, and got information from the other doctors. Victoria is rightfully furious that he did that, but she has got to know deep down, and I think she's tired of fighting, that she has to tell the truth. She cannot continue to keep the truth from these men. She tells him, I don't know if the baby is yours. I don't know if the baby is Billy's. Please don't tell Billy. More than anything, she does not want Billy to know. It's a dichotomy because I think she does very much want Billy to know. She very much wants this child to be Billy's, but at the same time, she knows as soon as Billy finds out, he is going to be on her. And not only that, I think she knows that she's going to start to feel secure again. She wants Billy's baby. If he thinks for a millisecond that it could be his, they're going to start nesting in together, and she's going to get caught up in this relationship that she has, I think, kind of deemed destructive in her mind. She cognitively wants to break away from Billy, but she knows that she loves him and she is emotionally connected to him. I mean, they're still married. So Billy has a connection to her that's not going to go away. They share a child. They, again, are still married. He still has belongings at their house. They've shared this house together. Billy comes by after Stitch leaves. I guess it's the next day. And he has to get a suit because he's getting ready to go out of town. And they have yet another cute, sad moment where you know these two people love each other, they really kind of belong together, and yet it's just one of those things. There's some betrayal there. There's a deep crack in the foundation, and I don't know if they are going to be able to repair that. So Billy leaves. It was very sad. I hate seeing him walk out the door. I feel like he belongs there. And I feel like Stitch is a usurper. He seems like he's a cuckoo bird. You know, he wants to come into somebody else's nest. I must be the only one that feels like that, because I know Stitch has a fan base, and I wish I didn't feel that way, but it's totally based on the fact that I like Billy. I'm wanting to defend him. Victoria is very upset about having to keep this secret. It's eating her alive, I think. She begins to get cramps right after Billy leaves, and she's worried, it's late, and she decides to call Stitch. He knows about the pregnancy, he's a doctor, so she gives him a call, and I, again, was offended. I'm like, Stitch is the last person that you should call, Victoria. He's too close to this situation. All you're doing is letting him in close when it might not even be his baby. Stitch could end up majorly screwed at the end of all of this. Billy and Victoria could have the baby together, live happily ever after, and Stitch is just on the outside looking in. She shouldn't have called Stitch. I don't care if your OBGYN is not on call. You should have gone to the emergency room then. It was inappropriate to call him. Ugh. I mean, it probably is his kid. I probably is his kid. Victoria and Billy tried for years to conceive, and then the second she sleeps with Stitch, she's pregnant. It's probably Stitch's kid. But I just am starting to resent him being up in the middle of this, and I'm feeling totally on Billy's side. He's the only one who doesn't know. It feels like everybody, I mean, even Chelsea knows. Come on, there are too many people who know this secret except for one of the main players who needs to know the secret. So I'm feeling on Billy's side. I think Victoria needs to tell Billy, and if she doesn't, Chelsea has already threatened that she's gonna tell him. Chelsea found out that Stitch knows about the pregnancy. Chelsea understands that it's unfair that Stitch would know and Billy doesn't know. So as soon as Billy gets back from his trip, Chelsea's gonna tell Billy if Victoria hasn't decided that she's gonna do it by then. I want Billy to find out. And I want it to be David Tom's Billy. I don't know if you guys have been watching Y&R casting rumors this week, but there is a casting rumor that David Tom has been recast. Why? Why are you doing this? I mean, they recast practically everybody in the whole show. David Tom is the original Billy. What is the problem here? I mean, maybe it's just a rumor. I don't know, but the rumor is they've recast him with someone named Burgess Jennings. I don't know who that is at all. I could not tell you one single thing he's been in. I looked at his picture. I didn't recognize him at all. Apparently, Y&R has decided, according to the rumor, that they are recasting the character of Billy because they want to take him in a new direction. What's wrong with the current direction? Right at the very end of last week and the very beginning of this week, Mariah has discovered that the money she had stashed away in her hotel room is now gone. It's missing. I don't know what exactly happened to her money. I'm assuming that Victor decided to go in and withdraw the cash that he gave her, but it's all she has. If she has no money, she can't continue to stay in town. Her first phone call is to Ian. She asks Ian for help. He comes by. He says he doesn't really have any money to give her. What's that connection, you guys? What is the deal between Mariah and Ian? And is there any chance he's her father? I don't know. It would be, I don't know what the timeline would be, and I know we're kind of all thinking that she's going to be a twin for Cassie, and maybe she is really Sharon's daughter, so I don't know how Ian fits into this unless he's just someone who had manipulated her, but she's broke, he's no help, so she goes to Sharon to ask her for the money, and it's just as Nick is pretty much reminding Sharon what bad news Mariah is. Nick does not want Mariah anywhere near Sharon. Sharon is in the process of trying to recover herself, trying to recuperate, and this Cassie lookalike figure hanging around is not going to help things, especially when it's not Cassie, and in fact it's more of a bad Cassie. So Nick understandably wants to keep these two apart, but he allows them to have a moment alone together, and Mariah asks her for money, asks Sharon for money, and this really bothered me. Mariah tried to kind of blame the fact that she tried to blame it on Sharon that she had decided to stay in town. Like, well, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't even have stayed in this town, and now I've got my money missing, so, how about you give me some cash? And I at least loved that Sharon called Mariah out on her BS. She says, are you really here because I asked you to stay, or is it about Tyler? Why don't you just tell me the truth now? And I loved that Sharon called her out. I like this relationship. I like that Sharon is not seeming victim-y to me. I don't know if you guys are seeing it a different way, but to me, I think Sharon wants to make this connection with this girl for one reason or another, but I don't think Sharon has blinders on, or to not completely anyway. She does end up giving her money though, which I guess maybe, the girl needed a helping hand. She gave her some cash. I hope that does not continue to be a theme. I don't want Mariah to end up being a gold digger. Well, she goes back to her hotel room, and the police are there to arrest her for what happened to Portland. Obviously, Victor has called the cops. He has done everything he threatened to do. Now that Mariah has double-crossed him, she's getting involved in Abby and Tyler's relationship. Of course, Abby goes whining to Victor about needing him to fix, well, I mean, rightfully so, needing to fix what he started or put right what he set into motion. So Victor calls the police. Mariah gets arrested. And Sharon begins to find out slowly that that Mariah did get arrested. Nick's there. I guess Nick made some phone calls to get some juicy details about what it was she did. Apparently it was burglary and breaking and entering. And just as they're finding out what happened to Mariah, Tyler and Abby are finding out what happened to Mariah. And Tyler is surprisingly defensive of Mariah. And we're all wondering why. Why is that, Tyler? And so he ends up asking Leslie to defend Mariah. He wants to help keep her out of jail because that's what she did for him. And he ends up revealing that there was this situation where he was working for this high-powered boss and some stuff in his home, the boss's home, ended up going missing. And oh my gosh, the boss wanted to charge Tyler, and instead Mariah slept with the boss to get the charges dropped or to convince him to not press charges against Tyler, and then that's what caused the end of their relationship because Mariah slept with his boss on his behalf. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good reason to break up with her. It's kind of insidious. The whole thing has not sat very well with Abby. In fact, she's kind of given him an ultimatum. It's just their relationship has been on the rocks the entire time. Meanwhile, by the way, more importantly to me, Sharon has discovered that traffic ticket. Remember with the photo that she got when she was out there by the hospital right after she switched the paternity results. She shouldn't have been in that area for any reason, so she got that ticket, stashed it. She's just finding it now and thinking that's the key to maybe what her big secret is. My guess is that Y&R is going to drag this whole Sharon secret thing out for another month until Phyllis miraculously wakes up from her coma. Romance is blooming in Kelly's empty condo. Jack has arranged for flowers and pillows and music to be playing in her new condo that's completely empty, and they have an intimate moment on the floor. It's weird. Jack and Kelly's relationship is a very highbrow kind of romance. They're into the finer things, which I think makes her a good match for Jack, but then they're like on the floor having romance. It's just strange. I think that's gonna wear on me a little bit as time goes on. I'm gonna need to see some grit from Kelly. I'm gonna need her to be a little bit more of a scrapper, a little bit less of a great grand dame, I'm gonna hope that. But I do enjoy it. I think that it's something a little different than we've seen, and like I said, I think it's kind of a good match for Jack, because that's sort of how Jack is. We're getting more in touch with his rich guy side. they're doing stuff us normal folks would do, though, too. They decided to go to a movie this week. Y&R's making the most of their movie set. We got a new movie set. Y&R's just all over it, or we set the movie set back up. Jack and Kelly think that they're gonna go watch something that's, you know, nice and romantic, and instead it was like this big blast action flick. And Kelly and Jack are both simultaneously kind of going, I don't think this is quite what we had in mind. It is cute. Their romance is budding. It's gonna be budding pretty much right, coming to a full bloom as Phyllis comes back on the scene. It's been written on the wall for as long as Jack and Kelly began dating, and now we have official word that Y&R has recast Phyllis. Wow, I think they held on as long as they could, but it almost seems like the second Michelle Stafford came on to General Hospital, Y&R was like, all right, we gotta get on this. We need a cast for Phyllis. The show must go on. Michelle Stafford has obviously decided to go somewhere else. She'll be back someday. I really do think so. Probably as soon as Jill Farren Phelps is out. They'll bring her back one of these days. So, a Phyllis recast. We've been talking about it forever. I'm totally open to it. The woman who is going to be playing Phyllis, her name is Gina Tognani. I don't know her at all. Apparently she's from, she's had roles on One Life to Live and Guiding Light, both of which are shows that I have not seen one frame of. I think they're like ABC shows maybe. I never got into the ABC or really the NBC. Well, I saw Days. I don't know. ABC soap, I want to say it is. But, so I don't know her at all. So please let me know if I should be excited here. Are you guys thinking that she could be a good Phyllis recast? She looks like a blonde. Are they going to dye her hair red? To what extent are they going to insist that she plays it like Michelle Stafford would have played it? Or is she going to bring something completely new and different to the role? Is she going to be the ferocious redhead that we've all come to know and love or hate? Is she going to be that kind of a divisive character? You guys have got to let me know if you know this woman and if you can see it. Until then, I'm just going to be waiting until I see it on the screen. There is just a part of me that it is a little sad. I think it is bittersweet. I've been saying that Y&R needed to recast Phyllis. At the same time, I kind of wish that they never would have cast Cynthia Watros as Kelly, because I think she would have made a killer Phyllis. Our girl Hilary had a rude awakening this week. She's lying in bed at the hotel, probably dreaming sweet dreams of Neil. And then Lily interrupts her by dumping a pitcher of ice cold water right on her head. I loved it. That was probably my favorite moment of the week. It is the moment that I have been waiting to see. It was so evil and bitchy of Lily to get into this woman's hotel room just because she works there, walk right up in this woman's hotel room and dump an ice cold pitcher of water on her. Hilary sat up from bed like, what? I thought it was awesome. You guys will have to let me know how you were feeling about it. I'm loving Lily versus Hilary. It's the best part of this whole affair. Neil is downstairs at pretty much the same time trying to talk to Devon about the whole thing, saying, you know, I expected this reaction from Lily. Lily has always disliked Hilary, but what about you? I thought you liked Hilary. Meanwhile, in the background, Kane's kind of milling around going, yeah. I mean, Kane knows exactly how much Devon liked Hilary. Kane knows the score, that in fact, Devon was starting to develop real feelings for Hilary when he found out that his dad was sleeping with her. But the bigger kind of shocker here is that Neil has revealed this week that he loves Hilary, in fact. It's not just an affair. He loves her. He tells Devon so, and it's pretty much juxtaposed with Lily and Hilary upstairs having an argument where Lily is kind of saying the same thing to Lily without really saying it. You know, your dad makes me feel this way, that way. I'm not using him. She doesn't tell Lily how she's really feeling about him, but she tries to convince Lily that she's not just using him. Neil ends up leaving his conversation with Devon, goes upstairs, and just thinking he's gonna go see Hilary, his new girlfriend, sees the argument that's happening between Lily and Hilary, and interrupts them, and of course he and Lily fight, and it's getting really uncomfortable. Neil is really playing the fatherly role here. In fact, he says something to Lily like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, young lady. It's a very young lady. You know, reminding her that I am your father. Don't forget, you cannot cross the line. There needs to be a level of respect here. You can disagree with me, but you're not going to treat me or like I'm doing something wrong, or treat Hilary like she's doing something wrong. He tries very hard to put Lily in her place, and I do like that Lily still has that respect for her father. If she was going, because the thing is, last week Devon was all kind of making rude remarks to Neil, like, glad you got your pants on. Just things you wouldn't say to your dad, or you shouldn't probably say to your dad. Lily, at least, is a little bit reserved in how vicious she's being. She's taking it all out on Hilary, and she's still trying to be Neil's little angel. After Lily leaves the room, Neil and Hilary have this moment alone together where Hilary is saying, this is so much worse than I thought it was going to be. We just need to stop seeing each other. She's ready to pull the plug. And Neil is now in the process of realizing he loves her. He wants to tell her. So he says, it's too late. We can't pull the plug now. I'm in love with you. And Hilary takes her sweet time and coming around to admitting that she loves Neil too. I don't buy it. How do they love each other already? This has just all happened way too fast, and it's not gonna last. Lily and Devon, Lily stomps back downstairs to have lunch with Devon, and they're trying to talk about how they can prevent this relationship. Lily is willing to do anything. She tells Devon, why don't you offer money? Give her a check. You tried to offer $1 million before to leave town. That didn't work, so offer her $2 million. How about $5 million? Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Lily wants to get Hilary out of her father's life. It was bad enough that she's hanging around in town, but now getting close to her father. Oh my goodness. Someone's gonna have to come up with a plan B, because Devon knows paying her off isn't gonna happen. Meanwhile, he is conveniently breaking up with Esmeralda over the phone at the exact same moment. Lily is freaking out. She's willing to do anything. She calls Neil out about his relationship with Hilary in front of Jack, which was really, really uncomfortable. Jack and Neil have this moment alone together where Jack was very reserved about learning that Hilary, his assistant, is now dating his friend Neil, but Jack was supportive. Didn't happen to mention the fact that Hilary kissed him. That's kind of a big deal, and it really does make Hilary look like she was trying to go after a rich man. It was weird. She kissed Jack right after she saw Devon and Esmeralda in the steam room, I want to say, so it seemed like kind of a reaction, but why Jack? It does, I think, cast some additional suspicion over Hilary's motives, and she did end up having to tell Neil about it. I think it makes Lily's case stronger. Personally, I'm still very suspicious of Hilary. Neil doesn't see it though. Even though Hilary told him that she kissed Jack, Neil still is totally head over heels for her. In fact, he offers for her to move in with him. You cannot tell me that this is not moving at freaking warp speed. It's ridiculous. Just as Hilary and Neil are bringing her bags downstairs that she goes to move in with Neil. She can't stay at the athletic club if Lily's going to wake her up every morning with an ice cold pitcher of water. So there's no other hotels in town. She has a high-paying corporate job, can't get her own apartment. No, she just has to go move in with Neil. Lily and Devon see Hilary's bags packed and Neil taking the bags, and Lily's like, you're moving in together? Even if Hilary was a saint, it's still moving too fast. A couple months ago, he was engaged to Leslie. So even though I think that that Lily and Devon's reactions are over the top, of course, it's still, if it was me, I would still be very leery of Hilary. It's ridiculous. But I love Lily's increasing desperation. It's getting worse and worse. As the stakes get higher and higher, she's willing to do more and more to get this woman out of her father's life. Lily actually suggests that Devon should seduce Hilary to get her away from Neil. I love this. I think it's excellent. And you know that Devon is going to be protesting, no, I can't do that. But he's ultimately going to do it. And then Hilary and Devon are going to develop feelings for each other. And we as the audience are not going to know where the ruse ends and where the real feelings begin. I think it's fabulous. I'm enjoying it. Chelsea follows up with Chloe about her pregnancy plans and begins to question her. Chelsea also picks up on all of this weirdness between Billy and Chloe, considering Chloe has repeatedly tried to get Billy to sleep with her so that she could have another child. Another child of his, a Delia 2, Delia Jr. Oh my goodness. Chelsea and Chloe are sitting there having this conversation, and Chloe is flashing back to that night at Billy's, and she's remembering bits and pieces of him talking about him and Victoria going to fertility doctors to try to have a child, and it's just, you can see the light bulb literally going on over Chloe's head, that this is the idea that's churning in her brain. Chloe goes to the cryogenics lab in true soap opera form. Just in case you forgot you were watching a soap opera, cryogenics lab sperm snap is coming up. Chloe creates a commotion in the hallway, sneaks into the lab, comes back with William Abbott's sperm. Oh no. I told you one way or the other it was gonna happen. You know she's gonna do it. At the same time Chloe's doing this, Billy sits down at the table with Chelsea, and they put 2 and 2 together about, you know, what Chloe's state of mind is. They realize that she needs to be hospitalized, and they take the charge. Chelsea kind of takes the charge of staging this intervention, which, by the way, I think is inappropriate, because even though Chelsea is Chloe's friend, she is, I think, above and beyond at this point, Chloe's victim. It's less of a friend and she's more of a victim of Chloe's descent into madness. So I think Chelsea being at the helm of this intervention was inappropriate. It really should have been the family members, but they decide they want to do this. Nobody actually really wants to do it, but everyone knows deep down inside that she's messed up, particularly Michael. He's trying to convince everyone. Lauren's there. Kevin clearly is not going to want to have Chloe committed again. Everybody's there at this intervention. Chelsea lures Chloe to come to where they're having it, and Chloe ends up showing up and hearing outside from the door everything that they're talking about, and realizes that, oh my gosh, they've just lured me here to they're gonna try to take me and put me into a mental institution. So Chloe is on the run. She just leaves and nobody knows where she is, and everybody's worried about her. I mean, it's worry on top of worry. So there's this moment where Lauren suggests, if I was Chloe, I probably would have run to the place where I was last happy. And we see a shot of Chloe at the movie theater watching a John Hughes film, and we realized that that was the last place that she was happy. She, on the night that Delia died, she was supposed to be on a romantic date with Kevin, and instead she was in the theater watching this movie with her phone off. Everything that happened with Delia probably wouldn't have been prevented if she hadn't been at the movie, but she would have at least had a chance to say goodbye to her daughter, and that's something that she's always missed out on. It's something that I think that she kind of reveals has made her resentful toward Kevin. Kevin realizes that the movie theater is probably where she is. He goes and he finds her, and they begin to talk, and Chloe says, you know, I've been reliving this series of moments over and over and over every single day since my daughter died. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about it. And, you know, she is now someone who is afraid to love, because when you love something, there's that potential that you could lose it. And Kevin's kind of talking her through this and realizing that that's part of the reason why she pulled away from him. She just doesn't want to lose anymore. She doesn't want to hurt anymore. And the conversation that she had with Kevin was very healing. They both talked about the mistakes that they had made, and it seemed like they both kind of came to this moment of you know, just a realization of where they are, and healing is how I felt. We all know that this is you know, we're closing in on Chloe's final scenes. I had gotten a voicemail this week from Gary, and he had mentioned that it felt fitting that her final scene would be with Kevin. He was there for her for so long. I mean, he's really the only man that she's ever really loved, and I think that ever really loved her. And certainly the dynamic of Kevin and Chloe changed both of those characters. Some maybe for the better, some maybe not so much. But now we realize that we're coming to the end of that Chloe is needing more help than Kevin in this phony marriage would be able to give her. And Chloe has this very lucid moment of realizing that she has had this descent, and that it's not getting any better, and that she needs more help. So realizing that she is going to have to go away to Fairview. You know, crazy doesn't just go away in an instant, even though she did seem like she understood what needed to be done. I guarantee you that before this moment, she's already used that sperm. She has definitely already done that. I can almost guarantee you that whenever this character comes back, she's gonna come back with Billy's baby, and maybe that's part of the reason why they're considering recasting Billy. I have no idea. Are they gonna recast Chloe too? Enough with the recasts, Y&R. I mean, I don't know if this is the last. I assume this is the last scene that we're gonna see with Chloe as Elizabeth Heinrichsen plays her anyway. I think for now, though, that's the end. Avery is still in the midst of trying to record her cooking show. Apparently she was scheduled to go on The Talk this week. I don't know does anybody watch The Talk? Did Avery go on The Talk? Like, did they do a crossover or something? It almost seemed like all signs were pointing toward that. I don't watch The Talk, so I have no idea. You guys will have to leave me a comment and let me know about that. Now, there's still this matter of Avery's stalker, which I said it last week, I'll say it again. It's a red herring. That camera guy is totally creepy. He's the one. Unless Y&R switches it up because they're listening to me and then they just want to screw with my head and say, haha, Allie, no, it was actually Ian. I don't think so, though. I think it's the camera guy. He is going through Twitter messages of Avery's. He's her #1 fan, you know? And he's saying that she's gotten another message from this creepy 4MJ is the username. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. If any of you guys have cracked that code, you gotta let me know. But this person, 4MJ, has sent some negative tweets or whatever about Avery. The stalker fan strikes again. It's kind of funny because Summer shows up during the taping of Avery's cooking show and calls him a stan, a stalker fan, which I think is interesting because I'm sure Hunter King has had to deal personally with some pretty negative stuff in the in the wake of the Michael Mooney thing. So I thought, it seemed almost like art imitating life a little bit there, but she's acknowledging that Avery has this stalker fan, a stan, and Summer is wanting to become a little PA there, help Avery out on the scene. She's becoming close to this camera guy. The camera guy is super passive aggressive. He is annoyed that they can't seem to get the show taped because Dylan's always there, or there's some kind of drama, and he just doesn't like not being able to do his job. But he does seem to like getting close to Summer, because there's this moment where they're alone together and Summer can't help but think about her mom because she's thinking about Jack's involvement with Kelly. And Summer reveals to camera guy, what's his name? I gotta quit calling him the camera guy. She reveals to him about, you know, everything that's going on with her mom in the coma, and the camera guy in turn says, I lost my mom too. 1 minute she was there, the next minute she wasn't, and I'm going through that too. And they end up embracing, and Avery walks in and sees them and is clearly uncomfortable by it. I was uncomfortable by it. I don't know what this guy's in is. Maybe he wants to get all stocky with Avery, but he'll accept Summer. Who knows? Maybe Summer was always the target. Maybe this camera guy works for Ian. I have absolutely no idea what the connection is, but he's significant. There's some reason. Now, while all of this is going on, Ian is just refusing to bow away. He should just go away, but he won't. He should just stay out of Dylan's life, stay away from the coffee house, but instead he gets Leslie to enforce his right to be there as his attorney. I don't know why Leslie can't just say no. This whole thing is just making Dylan look more angry, more volatile. He's throwing stuff. Violence is gonna happen. I mean, in fact, it did happen this week, but it's going to happen from Dylan's end, I think. It's weird because there was this moment later in the week where Leslie actually says to Ian, what is your end game? Why are you doing this? Why don't you just go away? And Ian says, well, you'll just have to wait to the end to find out, won't you? I thought it was a very creepy, just very enticing scene. I obviously love this actor. I love Ian. I think it's very interesting. They did reveal this week, too, that Ian revealed this week that he's off the hook for the extortion charge with Nikki. Apparently, the jury pool was tainted, which is my bad because he mentioned it last week, and I thought that was in reference to everything that went on with the New World cult or whatever it was that he was involved in. But no, apparently the extortion case against Nikki, there was a tainted jury pool. I don't know why that means the case gets dismissed. Shouldn't they just get a new jury? Is that just me? Apparently not. Apparently he's off the hook. He's hanging around Dylan. He's hanging around Nikki, buying her ice cream as if that's gonna make a difference. Like, it's almost like he sends her some ice cream like she's a teenager and can be employed with desserts. I don't think so. I wasn't happy about it. Victor wasn't happy about it. Victor actually gets a thug to drag Ian out into the alley and kind of like beats him up, and Victor shows up and is making threats against Ian while these thugs are holding his arm back. I mean, geez. I don't know about you, but like, he's a bad guy, but Ian's also an old man. Like, is it really appropriate to be beating up an old man? Ugh. Victor just didn't win any points with me by doing that. Maybe it's just me. Victor also didn't win any points with me this week by cutting off Nikki's credit cards and bank accounts. How dare he? Nikki shows up and she's like, oh, you think I would notice that you cut off my money, Victor? I mean, there could be a Prada sale. The nerve of that man. Victor says, he tries to act like it's all about Ian. Well, if you can't access your money, then Ian can't extort it from you. So I'm just doing it for you. Well, if that was the case, why wouldn't you tell her first? No, you had to go in there and exert your power is what it was. He had to go in and show her that he could seize her money if he wanted to. Why does he even have access to her accounts anyway? Nikki doesn't have personal money at this point. I mean, ugh. Everything Victor always does, he says it's for his family, but it's not. It's for his ego. So Ian ends up going down to the station, saying he got jumped. Of course, Dylan gets, escorted down to the station. He's the most likely suspect, but Ian's there saying he can't remember who it was, but he knows damn well it was Victor's goons, right? Unless he, made it worse and, beat himself up to make it look worse and then to set Dylan up. I got a little confused on that point, but Dylan's, that he didn't get off the hook. Nope. I mean, since Ian's not saying who it was that beat him up, I don't get that. I don't get what happened, but Dylan didn't end up going to jail or anything. Instead, he goes to Victor pretty much to thank him, realizing that it was Victor, and wants to thank him for having Ian beaten up and for trying to keep him away from Nikki. Dylan wants to tell Victor that, we're on the same side, man. We're on the same team. We want the same thing. Victor denies, I did nothing to Ian. And Dylan, right before he leaves Victor's office, just says, okay, well, I just want to thank you for doing nothing to him. So it's kind of a nice little bond that formed there. Now, next week from the previews, it looks like Ian is now going to go to Victor, and he's going to try to tell him that Victor needs to hear his vital information that affects his family. The vital information that says that Ian is not really Dylan's father, and that instead Nikki shares a child with Paul instead. Okay, you guys, that takes me to the end of, video upload number 401, 6-year anniversary of Y&R Chat. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you leave me a comment. I love reading them. I've been bad at responding lately. I feel like I need an extra set of arms. I've just been crazy busy, and shoot, watching, it takes, 4.5 hours to watch the show, then all Y&R Chat usually takes me an hour and a half a week, so I've been struggling to squeeze everything in, but please know that I'm reading all of my YouTube comments. I love you guys so much. Aaron, Grenadian Candy, Chris, I read all of your comments. You guys are awesome. I love you. I'm sure I'm forgetting to mention a million people, and I'm sorry, but please feel free to leave your comments, and come back next week, and we'll chat again about our Y&R. Okay, guys, I love you all. Mwah!